All right, Ms. Donna Knutson, from Apalachicola. Appreciate you coming over to do episode 12 of Shop Talk here at Bayside Coffee. We have a big issue I'd like to talk about. That's the water crisis in Apalachicola. You have recently been elected to the city commission, so I'd like to talk really about what was your interest in getting into that, why you bring such a unique experience and skill set to that. Um, and what's life like down here? What's the vision? What's your vision for Apalachicola moving forward? But before we get into all that, everybody gets a gift. And for you, since we're both Appalach residents, I got you the Apalach. That's our medium roasted Colombian. Just roasted that this morning, so I hope you enjoy that. So again, with this conversation, I have two primary goals. The number one is again the water crisis that faced us this year. Folks that don't know they're tuning in. I think pretty much anybody vacations here kind of knows. We had black water coming out of our faucets. It had a very putrid smell to it. It was deemed unsafe to drink. We were literally washing my 6-month-old outside with gallons of water. Like, it wasn't a good situation. So I'd like to figure out how we got there. Like, what happened? What went wrong? How long was that going on for? I'd love to talk about your professional background, what kind of skills you bring. I think a lot of us are very excited to see you make the commission, and we're looking for some positive changes so something like this doesn't happen. The second goal here is you're a registered Democrat. That's right. I'm a registered Republican. And here we are having a cup of coffee, having a nice conversation. And if you get on Facebook or your favorite news outlet, we're so divided. And I think it's getting worse and worse and worse. And if we can come together, we're going to solve better problems, right? Bigger problems. We have more in common. I see it in the shop all the time. We have folks, every bit of the political spectrum, whatever side, hanging out, talking about fishing or, the vacation they just went on or whatever. And that's my experience on a daily basis. Again, you get on social media and it's just like my team versus your team, and it's just not good. Again, we have so much more in common than we don't. And I think this conversation is going to highlight that. So let's begin with the water crisis in Apalachicola. How did we get here?
Well, what I've learned is that we got here over a period of years. And it's something that we don't really talk about, and I'm just learning it through my interactions. First off, going to city commission meetings when I wasn't elected, and then now on the commission. And it's a lack of routinized maintenance. It's a lack of really the backing and the true professionals that are lifelong people that have the certifications that we need and things like that. So, and I really do think it's just that, one of the things that I've heard a lot since I've lived here for the last 10 years is, well, that's just Apalachicola or that's just Franklin County. And I don't think I don't think people want to hear that answer anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
And so we're really trying to step up the workforce, get people trained, make sure that there is a schedule. We understand what has to be done and that people are doing it. The reports that we're getting right now from the folks that are at City Hall are very complete. And we have a lot of people in the town that can help us with this. One person in particular that I worked with in Atlanta is Lynn Wilder, and she and I scratch our heads about this stuff all the time. She is very good with understanding the chemicals in the water and understanding the testing, and so I relied on her for a lot of the information that I've been getting. But my background is in public health,
Right.
and one of the things that's very interesting about public health and things like environmental health, for instance, Health and Human Services and the EPA, two very big federal government systems, and they don't talk to each other. So if there's something going on in a city or a state or a town that involves the EPA, there's no rules that say they have to tell the health department about it either.
That's interesting.
So that's why I got involved in the incidents in Flint, Michigan.
Okay.
In that case, they had old lead pipes, and lead was leaching into the water, and the kids were having high blood lead levels. And that can cause some learning disabilities, things like that, slowness when it comes to regular average development. The adults, on the other hand, were having skin rashes, and they felt like their hair was falling out, and it was they wanted to know what was going on. Well, the EPA didn't tell the city about that. There was a pediatrician that asked for help from the health department and said, "You're the ones that are doing the lead testing for in the blood. How come you don't know what's going on with the water?" Right. So we ended up doing some joint activities with EPA and Health and Human Services to help the city understand what's going on. So we tested the water, the EPA tested the water. We did, on the public health side, tons of interviews with people to find out what are your symptoms. We had the resources to set them up with dermatologists, and they all had screenings, and it really did come down to a really good community effort. And as you were saying, administrations change. I worked in the federal government for 28 years, county government before that. So I worked under all the administrations, and we all had the same goal. What are we doing for the folks that need our help the most? So that's what got me into Flint. I think the city here is on the right track. I'm very pleased with our new city manager.
Okay. That's good to hear.
Chuck Anderson seems to be right on top of it. He's every Friday we're getting updates on these are the three most important things that happened this week. So, for instance, our water treatment plant just got funded for another $2.4 million, which will complete the amount of repairs that we have to do to get that back into top notch. So that project is completely paid for now. So that's a big chunk of what's going on with the water, even though that's sewer and wastewater. The scrubber, I thought we were having the parade flags up because the scrubber was coming.
It just got here, right?
Yeah, it just got here yesterday. I'm like, we're putting the flags up for that. But that, and he had made all sorts of plans ahead of time to make sure we had the right crane to get it up there. So we're not just waiting around. It's still going to take 2 or 3 weeks to test it out and make sure it fits and everything is going the way it should. So I think for water wise, we are at a point in the road where the state is getting involved, and the elected officials at the state level came down and said, look, we are telling you that you're going to have to either join with another water system or and basically that's the option that they gave us. And they spoke about East Point Water and Sewer.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've had some discussions about that on the commission, and right now we're in a fact-finding mode trying to figure out what's the best way to do this. Contract out for services. We also have a position that's on the board right now for a utility manager to come in as a new hire.
Okay.
So I think we're trying to find what's best for Apalachicola. I know what people are telling me. You know, they're very upset that they're paying for water that they feel like they can't use. They are fearful of rates going up because any of these options are going to probably increase rates. And so this is a very delicate situation. We want to hear from as many people as we can about what do you think we should be doing to best represent the wants and the needs of the city residents.
Okay. So the water is safe now to drink?
I think so. I drink the water. Chemically wise, there's nothing that's wrong with it, and if there was, we would get a notice.
Right.
We are seriously posting things as quickly as we can and bringing them into plain language so it doesn't become a huge debate about, well, these are words, but we don't know what that means.
Right.
So that's been helpful. But yeah, I drink the water. My pets drink the water. My plants drink the water.
Same in my house. Well, that's good to hear. And it sounds like you guys are putting the pieces in place so this doesn't happen again. You have objective measures that are really going to kind of keep this as a high priority. And it seems like there's always going to be somebody checking in on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the big attributes that Chuck brings to Apalachicola is discipline.
Yeah.
I mean, he's in the Air Force for 27 years and a father of 6. So you got to be able to be on your game in order to, lead people in the direction that you want them to go, as well as, continue to grow good little humans. And I think he's doing a good job with that. So that's been a big breath of fresh air for me, at least.
Yeah, having good leadership, having good resources, having a good team. Sounds like you guys are kind of check.
Yep. We've got a new grant writer right now who is doing fabulous work. That's where that $2.4 million came from.
Okay.
And so there is momentum and skill sets that are in the city government now that we haven't had for a while.
Okay. So when you were in Atlanta, did you go to Michigan after that, or did you were you in Michigan and you came down to Atlanta?
That was part of my job out of Atlanta.
From CDC?
Yeah, so CDC got involved, and at that point I was the deputy director for environmental health, and I became the incident commander, so I was the liaison between the Health and Human Service folks out of DC, Michigan's Health Department, and CDC.
Okay.
So I kind of bounced around in those three areas.
And it sounds like some of those ailments you were describing earlier, the skin rashes, the learning disabilities, I would assume it would take time, like years possibly, for that to develop. Is that something we should be concerned about?
Right now, and looking at our water situation, I don't think we have lead in our water from the reports that I've seen. And because of that incident in Flint, the federal government passed legislation that said over the next 10 years, we're pulling every lead pipe out of every community.
Okay.
So there's money available now to make sure that that doesn't happen again. I don't know. I don't think Apalachicola has many lead service pipes.
Okay.
I did try to look into that, and I don't think that we have that many. So, but it was a problem when we were growing up. That's the reason that lead came out of gasoline.
Gotcha.
Because we were breathing lead, and blood lead levels were so high back then when I was a kid, and so it doesn't affect everybody the same way, but they're so low right now that it's not going to be as apparent as it was when we were growing up.
Okay.
And you're significantly younger than me, so I don't want to say we, but
I'm almost 40 now. Pushing 40.
I'm almost Medicare.
So, in looking forward, now that you are, city commissioner, what is your vision for Appalach? What are maybe some projects you've got in the back of the mind, or some things you'd like to change, or things you want to keep the same? What is your vision with Appalach of tomorrow?
Well, I mean, I really want to hear again more from the folks in Apalachicola, because right now, a lot of the voices are angry, but we want some visionary voices also, and we are in the middle of market improvement for the downtown area and the waterfront area. Again, some of this has been funded by Hurricane Michael funds, and we're just getting around to either getting it permitted or getting it contracted out or designed. But there are plans to start from 10-foot hole and go all the way down to Mill Pond, rebuild all those docks that were mashed up during Hurricane Michael. Revitalize some spaces in the hill and bring the business back to the hill.
Okay.
So there's money available, and there's plans that are drawn up, and there are actual people that are assigned to, once the money comes in, let's get going. So we, all of that, it'll get back to a much better view when you're coming over the bridge.
Right.
Including pulling down the Popham building, that one that's falling right into the water at the very beginning. Bringing that back down to the decks. But I think the really important thing for me and what brought me to Apalachicola is the small town feeling. And and I don't know very many people in Apalachicola that want that to change.
Yeah.
And so that's what I ran on is, protecting our heritage and then preserving our heritage and protecting our future. I don't want to live in Apalachicola if we've got high rises on the beach. Part of my interest in Apalachicola is I volunteer a lot, and so from May until October, I coordinate the sea turtle patrol on the island, and I can't imagine having anything more on the island than one restaurant on the sand, because those are all of those endangered creatures that live there and the huge migratory bird patterns that we have, and that to me is really important, and I think it's important to a lot of other people. So making sure that we speak with one voice to the elected officials, to our own constituents, and make sure that, tax money is important for us to make some of these things that we're doing, to make some of these improvements, but we can also find other ways to do that without raising taxes, without, getting the big hotels in there so that we start getting more bed taxes. I just really think that the small town feeling is really important and historic, and there's a story to tell here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and talking to Mr. Gil Lotry, I don't know if you saw that podcast, but he is so full of stories, and I love it. And that's what I love about these interviews is I've met so many people in this community who either moved here for whatever reason or grew up here, and just hearing their stories, I love it. I'm like, I gotta get a camera on some of these folks. The microphone's going, because I think the world would love to hear these stories. It would be cool to see like Boss Oyster and Caroline's revamped.
Yeah. And there are plans to do that, and I think that's associated with the owners of the Franklin and the Gibson, and I think the issue there is permitting.
Yeah.
And so it's double permitting. You have to get permitted by the Department of Environmental Protection, and also from the Corps of Engineers. And they both work on different schedules.
I believe it.
So I know for our improvements, we've got permitting done from DEP, so now we're just waiting for the Corps, and then we can get started. I think that little stretch though is a little bit behind us.
Okay.
So, but it will be important to make that whole area look like it used to, and for people to really understand that that's what Apalachicola. That was the seaport, you
Right.
know. So all that stuff is important to me. I think, but when you said, the people that live here and that want to stay here, we also need some. We also need some more industry though.
Yeah.
That is not just tourism.
Right.
Tourism is great. I don't think anybody would deny that tourism is important to this town, but we also want to make sure we have good jobs for the folks that want to grow up and stay here.
Yeah, and I feel like that's tough. I can't say how many of my customers, they work 2 or 3 jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And they're getting priced out of where they grew up.
Yeah.
And teachers who are driving an hour into town
Mm-hmm.
to go work, and police as well. Anything come to mind? Any type of businesses that you can think of just off the top of your head?
Yeah,
That'd be neat to have here. That seems like a good fit.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of technical activities that we could have, and technical occupations. We've have a few and far between when it comes to electricians and plumbers and
Yeah.
car technicians and all that. I've got a friend that's been back and forth to Panama City now like 7 times a road just to get his car fixed.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, that doesn't work. But there's also plans up 65, a little bit past like the sheriff's office, to do an enterprise zone. And there's one of the things that I volunteer for is keep Franklin County beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And we are way into recycling. And what we recycle now is aluminum cans, which provide cash, but we're also recycling bottles from regular glass into sand again.
Yeah.
And if we could think about a way to make that an industry here, sand is, it's a commodity that's used in everything, and it's got a limited. It's not unlimited amounts of sand that can be used. So we're trying to think of a way to get the city and the county to think together on this one,
Mm-hmm.
and see if we can do a glass to sand plant somewhere where we can start selling it, and people will get paid. And it's not a hard. I mean, I run the machine, but we want a bigger machine that can really recycle glass and make some money off of it. But little enterprises like that, I think, would be something that we can think about. There's also some, obviously the environmental work that's going on
Mhm.
here, the hunting and the fishing and all the environmental protection activities that we can bring to other people that come here. I think that's a huge part of our industry also.
Yeah.
Stuff that people that just drive in here will have no idea because they don't have the numbers,
Right.
the fishing numbers. So I think that that's another piece that we can really preserve. But I really do think we just need some different industries, and coupled with what you said, think of a way to make sure that people don't have to work 3 jobs.
Yeah.
Or live with 10 people that they don't know just to live close to work.
Yeah. So even finding a place to rent around here.
Yeah.
It's very difficult.
Yep. The job that I had previously that I now just do as a volunteer was through the estuary, and we have visiting scientists that come in all the time, and we put them up in our dorms. One's here in East Point, and the other one's in Apalachicola, for $10 a day because they can't figure out where to live for the 6 months that they're here. So it's things like that I think we could really work on.
I really think the glass bottle initiative is a really neat idea, and I think it would work because the Apalachicola Yacht Club did that on like a micro scale.
Yeah,
brought your glasses in and
that's what I do.
Glasses. And there was like such a good turnout.
Yeah.
I think the community was like, "This is awesome. We could go to this cool venue, hang out, have a good time, and also do something well for our community or the planet." And I think there's a lot of folks that think that way and feel that way as well. So I think that would be a really cool idea.
And that whole idea came from 2 college kids in Louisiana that shared a bottle of wine and said, "Gosh, I wish we could do something with this glass." And they're selling it to, builders, and they're selling it to we could pave every single road in Apalachicola with Apalachicola glass.
You don't just put it at the top of the pantry like we did in college.
Put a candle in it.
Yeah, so we put the glow sticks in there. We put the glow stick, and then when you have your party at the black line, it's like, whoa.
But yeah, I think it's just little things like that we can just start from somebody else's idea, and if we can think of a way to get some investors to help us with that, that would be pretty cool.
I love it. And speaking to you, Rex over at Penny Cuffs, Fisherman's Choice, and Miss Lynn of Lynn's Quality Oysters, they're very involved in the East Point civic community, and they said something along the same vein.
Yeah.
Like growth has come.
Yeah.
But we love it here the way it is. We can't stop growth, but let's keep growing in the right way,
in the directions that we want.
Exactly.
And I think it's, infrastructure is huge. Let's make sure our infrastructure can support us first, and then also start to think about how it can grow in ways that will be sustainable.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's we want to grow the quality of the town, but not necessarily the density.
Yeah.
I guess is the way that I would think of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, as we wrap up here, I think it's no wonder it was get 63% of the vote.
Yeah, I something like that.
Something like a nice majority.
Yeah.
And I think it's because folks are coming together. They're seeing this bigger issue. They see that you have this very unique, qualified background, and they're excited for someone like you to get in there, get their hands dirty, and keep us on the right track. So we appreciate you doing that. It sounds like it might be a pretty demanding position, but again, you've been there and done it, and we're excited to see you really lead the charge on that.
Well, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you, because you're right. Things are divisive right now, and my whole philosophy has always been, I just look at everybody as a human. I don't, sometimes I can get angry at what politicians do, and I'm surprised that I can even use that word when I describe myself. But now I'm technically a politician, but
a statesman, a stateswoman. That's what they always say. He said, "I was never a politician. I was a statesman." You're a stateswoman.
And all I want to do is, is make sure that people understand that everybody's worthy of, being on this earth and living the life that they want to.
Yeah.
Don't hurt anybody else. Make sure that you understand that not everybody's going to be like you, but at the core of it, seeing your two sons in their UPS outfits in the library when I was dressed like a porcupine at the time, that's the stuff that, they're just innocent. They don't know anything. They want to, grow up in a town like this too. And so I want to just meet people at their human level, and that's what we have in common.
Yeah. Ms. Donna, that sounds so rational and reasonable.
I'm going to stop my foot now.
I really appreciate your time. This was great.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the gift.
Yeah, hope you enjoy it.
I will.